The Banowetz Podcast.
Welcome back to the Banowetz Marketing Podcast. We're glad you're here. We have two special guests with us today, and I'm super excited to have them here. Welcome, Chris and Kelsey. How are you?
Good.
So this is Chris and Kelsey Olson with Bev The Barbarian. So tell us a little bit about, before we get into the company, tell us a little bit about yourselves personally. You guys are married.
Correct.
How long have you been married for?
Our
I'm putting you on the
anniversary's
spot
like next
now.
week. Yeah.
6 years?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And do you have any kids?
3.
3.
Yep.
Boys, girls.
2 girls and a boy.
Nice.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have an exciting household then.
Very busy.
Life is busy. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what you do for your company because it's super unique and super exciting.
So we are a mobile bar business, and we do corporate events, markets, weddings, anything that would require a bar. We just pull up in our camper that we flipped into a bar and serve alcohol.
Okay, this is really unique. How did you guys come up with this idea?
Honestly, we just kind of fell into it. I bought a camper off of Craigslist for $100. Didn't really know what we were going to do with it. Thought about camping. We're not really a camping family. Then we were like, hey, let's just put a bar in our backyard. Flipped it into a bar, and then we were like, we could probably rent this out for weddings. Kind of looked into the liquor laws, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Very cool. And that was what, 5 years ago?
4
Yeah,
4
we're
years
in our
ago.
fourth
Yeah.
So you were fairly newly married at that point too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Newly married, but
Yeah.
Yeah. She had this crazy idea, and I looked at it. I was like, I don't see it, but let's do it. And it turned out awesome. So.
Now, your Instagram account is cute because this isn't just a regular camper. It's like, tell us a little bit about the camper that you started with.
it's a
1958 Comet,
1958 Comet. So it's like a canned ham, I guess is what they call
Okay.
it. And it was falling apart when we
Yeah,
bought it. Like
it was.
I pulled up with it, and he's like, what did you buy? But yeah, but now it's completely fixed. And
So who did most of the renovations?
It's funny because Kelsey does all like the building, and like I had to gut it because it was disgusting and she wouldn't go in there. But once that was done, she does all of that, and I actually manage our social media. So it's kind of it's a
okay.
weird, yeah.
it's like kind of an opposite of
yeah,
stereotypical.
we get that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Very cool.
this must have been a lot of work. I was like, well, I don't know. I went to
Very
Home
cool.
Depot a lot, but yeah.
So are you primarily using Instagram or are you,
Yeah.
what else are you using?
Mostly Instagram. We do sort of do Facebook, but Instagram is kind of where most of our social media is.
And we get inquiries sometimes from like wedding things that we're not even registered, like the knot and stuff like that, where it's just like our name gets out there and somebody adds it on there. And so that's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Honey Books, I know we've got some inquiries from there.
Very cool. Okay, so do you still have the original camper, and is that the only one you have now, or do you have another one? Or
So we still have Bev, the original, but we did buy another one this last fall. So we're currently working on our second camper.
okay,
Yeah.
And then do you have like an indoor mobile bar? You have like additional rental pieces, right?
We do have an indoor bar that we do rent out occasionally.
Okay.
But mostly the
it's
campers.
Bev.
Yeah.
So most weddings will want, if it's a larger wedding, they want 2 bars going at once. So we'll have one indoor and then ours outside. So we kind
Okay.
of built that. It's like 8 screws to put it together, and it's cool looking, but
Okay.
yeah.
Very cool. So when a company rents out your services, tell me what exactly the process is and what happens on the day of.
Ooh, so it depends on how they rent us out. We can be rented out multiple ways, either as a bartending service, so the alcohol is provided by the company, and then we just serve it, so like
Okay.
open bar, or we can get a liquor license and do a cash bar. So it kind of just depends on which route they go. If they choose to provide the alcohol the day of, we pull up with Bev, load up the bar, and just start serving.
And you provide the bartenders, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Bartenders, and then all like equipment, ice, things like that.
What kind of things do you guys hear or the companies hear as a result of being there?
Yeah,
Like, are they
people-
super
yeah.
excited?
Yeah,
And-
they love it. I mean, we pair really well with like food trucks too, so that's nice to kind of have that, as an option. And people are like, "What? This is a bar? This is crazy!" So it's been really really awesome to see people's reactions.
Well, and I saw on your website that you guys can even do indoor events too if they have the doorway to be able to pull in.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
We do like Celebration Farms in Iowa City. We fit inside of their big round barn. So we do a lot.
Yeah, we bought a hand cart, which was like a complete game changer. That was like year 2. We're like, we can't back into these places, so we bought like a little pull cart, which has been awesome. So we can get it in about any location.
So who is your target audience with this business? Like who is it that you are you mainly focusing on weddings or corporations, like corporate events or parties, or what is your target demographic?
Well, the nice thing is we kind of cater to everybody as long as you're over 21. But I think mostly we prefer to do cash bars like at markets or corporate events. But we do still do weddings, and that's why we're flipping the second one, just so we can be double booked, because a lot of times we'll get a wedding at the same day as a market. So now we can kind of be in two places
so like
at
farmers
once.
markets and things like that?
We can't do a farm. Well, we could, but it would be pricey, and the legalities of that are kind of, you have to have like a fenced off area that you serve in.
Okay.
So if we did a farmer's market, we'd have to like fence off a specific area and then make sure people weren't taking booze beyond that point.
That makes sense, yeah.
So it's not really something we want to do, but like vintage markets.
Okay.
So we do a couple of those, and festivals we would even be willing to.
Craft shows. I mean, anything that has like food trucks or music. We're usually pretty good about that. We do a lot of like grand openings for small businesses too, which has been awesome.
That's a great idea.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Okay, so what is one of the biggest wins that you've had, I'd say, in the past year?
Yeah, I think outside of our like expansion and growing, I think just adding more markets every year. So every year we've added about 3 new markets year over year, which has been awesome. So, and you always meet people there. That's a diverse group of ages, and all of a sudden we're getting inquiries from weddings saying, "Hey, I saw you at this vintage fair, etc." So to me, that's been awesome.
Do you and I want to ask what sets you apart from your competitors, but you probably don't have very many competitors besides just venues doing, the bar service themselves, but this is so unique that you stand out in that, right?
Yeah, we haven't. There's a couple that are popping up now, but we don't really have much in form of competition.
We got in the market at the right time. I mean, we started doing this before the camper craze went in full effect, right?
Well, and you're definitely piggybacking off of the camper craze, which it's different, but it's still same. I mean, it's similar enough that. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it's just the relationships. We've done it now for 4 years. We've done the same markets. We've added markets. It's a really good word of mouth. We have great reviews. So from a competition level, it's more of a, hey, we're booked this weekend. Can you guys take this? That type of deal. So it's almost like a referral from us to some of our competition.
Well, I think that you just the business model itself is so unique that you stand out in and of itself. But is there anything that I'm missing that makes you guys extra unique too, on top of just the fact that the whole business model itself is unique? Like in the way that anything that you commonly hear from people when you show up that.
Well, I think that people are just like surprised that we actually run it. Like if they book with us, that we don't send, like other people to run it. I mean, one of us is always there. So I think in that way, it's unique.
Well, and you definitely have that level of extra attention and care that way.
Yeah. Then it's done right and the way that we tell them it's going to be.
And we did the flip ourselves too, right? So it's like, not only did we build this, we actually work it too. So I think that kind of sets us apart, and people are like, you guys did all this? This is super cute, and it's awesome.
Well, and this is such a great role model for your kids, that they're seeing you guys.
A bar.
Well, I mean, it's a bar, but it's super creative, and I'm guessing that not many people leave like drunk from it or anything. It's a social gathering type of situation. And I was raised in an entrepreneuring home, and I really appreciated that. So to have your kids see you guys working together on this, and to build it from scratch, come up with the idea, build it from scratch, and such a unique and creative thing. I mean, that's got to be a great example for them.
Yeah, hope so.
Yeah.
or else it's going to be like, we don't want to spend that much time on things. So.
And they're smart too, right? So they don't, like our oldest babysits for us, and she doesn't ask for $20. She asks for a percentage of our sales. So she's very strategic, and she knows how to position it. So,
nice.
Yeah, we told her like, this is your college fund someday. So like,
That's hey, my parents said the same thing about Warehouse Auto. That was my college fund. So, okay, so the people who are watching Banowetz Marketing tend to be business owners themselves. So, what piece of advice would you give a fellow business owner? Something you wish you would have known at the beginning that might help other people.
You should look at me like answer this.
Yeah,
I think just consistency, having a presence on social media has been huge. We'll go out to eat or grab drinks somewhere and people are like, oh, that's you guys. We didn't know, so it's like kind of a nice, forming of relationships and, just consistency and just putting your message out there, not being afraid to expand. This is Kelsey's idea, but when it started to get really big, she was like, oh man, I didn't want this, and I was like, no, this is really good. Like, let's figure out a way to make this expansion happen. So I think just having the confidence to grow with the business too.
That's a great point. So can you touch more about what you were feeling with that? Because I understand that. I've said that to my husband too. I did not, and I've said it too. Jen's behind the camera, and I said, I have not expected the stress level from something growing faster and bigger than you thought it was going to grow is incredibly difficult. Can you expand on your feelings about that?
Well, when we started this, it was like, we'll just do this here and there for weddings, extra income, but it kind of like snowballed and it's just getting bigger and bigger. Now we have to like take on more staff and get a second one. And I think, when you do something, this was supposed to be for fun and just like here and there, but now it's like work. So it took something fun and now it's work, and trying to find a balance between those two where it's still fun, but also like making money is hard.
Well, and the responsibility too, like taking on staff and having payroll and making money, making sure that what you do is profitable and not causing...
And trying to figure out how to do that all legally is also a whole other thing.
Well, having a family too and trying to balance your career and your family and
they got really good at counting money though. They're like going to be expert tellers someday. Like they're going to be like hired instantly.
Well, and I know that in my family too, growing up, there was a lot of responsibility that felt like, I do feel like Warehouse Auto kind of was built on our shoulders a little bit. I was the oldest of 3 kids, and but then it taught me responsibility and stuff. And I grew up in Solon, which is very much entrepreneurship or farming families, and so I was around peers that were similar in that we grew up in that atmosphere, and I'm really appreciative of it. I really feel like it needs to be farming, sports, or business. That those maybe there's something else too, but those 3 things really teach children a lot of responsibility and help prepare them well for adulthood. So
yes.
But now Kelsey's like, oh, we're not doing this event because the margins aren't off, and I'm like, this is awesome. She's went from this like super creative person to like this business, like crunching numbers, and it's great.
Great job, Kelsey.
Yeah, thanks.
I've had to do the same thing because I'm a creative too, and balancing that like administrative, financial part with the creative is it's been a growing experience. But even this morning, I was thinking, man, I really have grown a lot in the last few years, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's crazy. We have like our own like fan group, like at markets, like they come to see us.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it's pretty,
that doesn't surprise
neat.
me at all. Everyone listening needs to check out their Instagram profile. So they do great. Jen is the one that booked you guys to come on the podcast, and she was telling me this week, she's like, you got to check them out. You got to check them out. And your website looks great too, and explains things. Because I did have a question, like right away I was like, well, what about the liquor license? And you address that several times on your website. And
we
so
still get asked all the time. Wait, so you don't provide alcohol? Like, no.
Well, I was wondering, because I assumed that you did, and then I was wondering, how do you get a traveling liquor license? And then your website addressed that you'll get it if you need it and stuff like that. You were even telling us before we started rolling that, so what is the process to get a liquor license if a company needs one?
So, well, if we are working for the company, we'll take care of that for them, because it's kind of a mess. It can be.
Yeah.
Yes. But now we kind of have it down. But you have to have a dram shop insurance.
You have to provide like 3 types of insurances, and then the city or county has to go in and approve it. So if it's a smaller town, they have to have a board meeting, and then it has to be approved through the ABD, and then they come back to the county and need some sketches. It's difficult, but now we've done it. Like I said, this is our 4th year, so they kind of know us now, and they're like, oh, the same event as last year.
So
you've
built up trust.
So the corporation or whoever's running the event will just need to provide something that says we can serve alcohol on their property, and then usually they'll ask for a sketch of the area that we're going to be serving in. But
and we do all
that's
the
all
work.
they have
we
to
just,
do.
We just
Then
need
we
that
do the
initial.
rest.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Make it super easy on
yeah.
busy businesses.
Yes.
So.
At first, it was like sit down with a bottle of vodka, and then it's going to be a long day trying to get this approved. But now they know us, so that's good.
Now we're on a first name basis
Yeah.
with the ABD, and they're on our Christmas card list, so we're buds.
Very cool.
We're buds.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, before we leave, the last thing I like to do with our podcast is see if you guys have any pain points in your marketing, or any questions that you may have that I could help answer.
I mean, we predominantly just use the Instagram. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot that's out there. I mean, I guess that's predominantly what we use, some Facebook, but for the most part, just that. I guess what else are we missing, or what else?
Well,
might
and
there...
I think that one of the things that we really care about here at Banowetz Marketing is branding, and I think one reason I could see your success, besides the fact that you're in the entertainment industry, essentially, is that your branding is really strong. And I think that, I mean, your Instagram profile is very, like, you know what to expect when you're looking through those images. You have a great Instagram account, and your website is great, and all of it. And then the product itself is super adorable. And I think all that branding has probably been, and just your personalities too, and your work ethic has what's probably helped you guys grow a lot.
Yeah, we just did a rebrand last year. We worked with a gal in town, Prince by Lowe's, her name, and she put together an image. It's on my shirt here, and we kind of went through that and redid all of our stuff. So it was kind of like, okay, this is year 4. Let's get really serious about this and make sure that it is appealing and people know what it is. So thank you for that, because we put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, very cool. So that's really cool. Yeah, that's awesome that you guys have focused on your branding, because that is really important, and it helps people take you seriously, that it's not just a fly-by-night business, but it's something that's here and here to stay and everything like that. So
we did like a behind the scenes too. That was kind of cool on Instagram. Like we showed them, like, you know, because it's all glam on there, but like what actually happens in some of the events. You know, like one time it flew off, and, you know, so we had pictures of that just to kind of show like, hey, we're normal people too. So we got a lot of good reviews off of that, and people were like, oh my gosh, are you okay?
Well, and your Instagram profile is mostly about the product and the products in there. Like, you'll show like pictures of beverages and then also the camper and everything, but you're not showing very much of the two of you, right?
No.
Have you thought about doing more of that so that people feel like they get to know you a little more?
Yeah, I mean, we went to they had a mobile bar conference in Tennessee. So we went to that. It was the first one ever. It's pretty cool. And they had a branding lady there. She was saying, you know, it's kind of to get to know the people, but I think we do a lot of, like, for weddings, we meet the couple, like we go out and talk to them. So,
when we can.
Yeah. So I think they know us by the time we're there. So
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We don't want to become the brand either.
Yeah, I think it's nice to separate the two, but...
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Over a year ago, when we talked about starting a podcast, it was originally I did a podcast with another marketing lady named Sarah, so we called it the Sarah Squared Podcast. And then she's a freelancer and got really busy, so she had a hard time continuing to do it. So we started a second podcast, which is this podcast with my team, which is the Banowetz Marketing Podcast. But I will say that in, I think it was like November of 2018, November or December, when Sarah and I were talking about starting our own podcast, which essentially puts you in front of the business. It was scary. Like, we were in this office and she goes, let's do it. And I excused myself, and I'm an extrovert. I am like, I love talking to people, but I'm not about like being on social media a lot. And I excused myself and went to the restroom and just like took a deep breath and was like, well, I told you earlier before we started recording that I struggle with anxiety. And I was just like, okay, because I could just imagine all of the negative comments and everything like that too. And there's a lot of bullying that happens online. And I know as a marketing person the importance of personal branding, but to actually put yourself out there and do it. But I will say it has been really good. And the way our culture is going, people are trusting people. I mean, I think part of it, that the name Bev, like I was confused when I was like, Kelsey Olsen, I thought we were having Bev come in, and Jen was like, no, Kelsey it's Bev for beverage instead of Beverly. But that's probably working in your favor too, that it kind of is like a personal brand, and that the Bev stands for beverage, but it kind of seems like it stands for Beverly.
Yeah. Well, actually, when we bought the camper, everyone said, when you buy a canned ham, you have to name it, because that's what they did in the 50s.
Okay.
And when we were dating, every time we would go to Starbucks or anywhere coffee, they'd say, what's your name? He would say, Bev. And so when we bought it, I did name it Beverly, like just because of that.
Okay, very
But
cool.
then I was like, oh, that kind of works for beverage. So it kind of like evolved into that. But I get Bev. I mean,
When you're
All the
all the
time.
time.
Yeah.
So
You're
now
there,
I'm
you're
just like,
serving,
yep,
they just
I'm
call you
Bev.
Bev.
People will call us and be like, is Bev
Is
there?
Bev?
I'm
I'm
like,
yep.
who's asking?
Might just legally change my name to
Yeah.
Bev.
Yeah.
There you go. Your personal brand is Bev.
That's me.
Very cool. Well, thank you for being on the podcast. Is there anything, last thing that I haven't mentioned that you would want? Well, your how would people get in touch with you? So businesses, it tends to be like the marketing director or an administrator who reaches out to you to contact you about helping with an event of theirs, being part of the event. How would they get in touch with you? What's the best way to reach out to you, and how do they find you online?
Either any social media platform, our website, or just email.
Yeah, we're at Bev The Barbarian across the board. Message us. And now that we're expanding, we have 2, so we have a lot of availability to help. So, and then hashtag Where Is Bev?
Hashtag Where Is Bev? That's great. And so let me spell out your website. We'll link it below, but just in case someone's seeing this without the link, it's Bev is BEV, the Barbarian, BARBARIAN. No parentheses or anything like that. Just BevTheBarbarian.com.
Yep.
So, well, thank you for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching the Banowetz Marketing Podcast. If you have any need for marketing, please reach out to us. And if you're a business owner in the area and would like to be on the podcast, reach out to us about that as well. Have a great day. Bye.